Pura vida, amigos. This is Matthew Human, host of La Vida Verde podcast. Welcome back to another episode. Today, my guest is Iesha Martinez. Iesha is an herbalist currently living in Boston, Massachusetts. She's the founder of Optimom Wellness, and she's just finishing up a stint caretaking a house here in our ecovillage of Tacotal Collective. It's going to be a great conversation, and I hope you enjoy. Iesha Martinez, welcome to La Vida Verde podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Yeah. So I just met Iesha, actually. I came back from a trip from the United States, and she was here. You were here caretaking the house of my neighbor, Sarah Wu, who's an herbalist we've had on the program before. And but I had heard your name because you spoke at Envision this year.
Yes.
And I was familiar with that. So okay, we know you're an herbalist. What were you speaking on at Envision this year?
A lot of womb health. I did like 2 classes. So I did a class on womb wellness, and then I did a class on CMOS and like nutrition, gut health, etc. So
cool.
Yeah.
And you're based in Boston, and you're not from Boston.
No, I don't claim that place.
Okay.
It's Gotham City for me.
Gotham City.
Yeah.
So where tell us a little bit about your origin story of Iesha Martinez.
Yeah. So my origin. So my mom is Dominican. She's born in Dominican Republic.
Okay.
My dad's Puerto Rican. He's also born in Puerto Rico. They've, migrated in teenage years to the United States. My mom had me around 20 years old. And so I was born in Utah, Salt Lake City, which was very odd. I don't know nothing about it.
The home of Dominicans and Puerto Ricans in the
Right.
United States.
Exactly. Like I questioned my mom never even told me until I looked at my birth certificate, and I was like, Utah? But I was just dropped there, pretty much birthed there. And then my mom went to New York. She had me there like as a toddler. And then I moved to Maine, which I spent my most prominent years from like 9 to 13.
On the coast?
Portland.
It's a little bit inland.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it a port?
The city. It's like, not really. It's kind of like, I guess. It's like right on the edge. Yeah.
I mean, with a name like Portland, you would think it's a port.
Yeah.
It's a port town.
Yeah.
I would have guessed.
That's where, honestly, I think it really is, because that's where it's most diverse. So I guess that's where people come in and out for sure. And then I moved to Boston, and she had the urge to move. My mom has no loyalty to any place. She's always moving around. So I always went from school to school, so I never really had that.
And do you have was there a big family or small family?
Yeah, I
brothers,
have
sisters?
I have like 5. She has like a total of 5 kids, and we're all pretty close in between, not far apart from each other. I have 3 brothers and 1 sister. Okay. I'm the oldest girl. I have an older brother, but I like to think I'm the oldest out of everyone.
And there's your whole family herbalists?
No, I'm the only one. I'm the only one. Crazy enough, I feel like my mom low key is an herbalist, but my mom is like a Dominican, like what we would call bruja, or like a herbalist type of thing. Like all brujas are considered herbalists, and or vice versa. All herbalists are considered somewhat brujas. And so my mom had like things that she was taught from her family, but never really understood why. Like she would put onions by the door, or like spray us down with some like smoke. I grew up in it, but I never understood why we did these things. And so my mom, she's like a regular like clerk at a hair store, but like on the spiritual realm, everyone comes to her for like something.
Advice.
Yeah, advice, spiritual advice. Like I guess she can I don't know what it's called, but
exorcise demons?
No. No, she's an empath, I guess. So she can be
She's intuitive.
Yes. So a lot of people knew my mom all over Boston. And then so I guess she is kind of like an herbalist, but me being a Virgo, I wanted to know more detail about all the things.
You're a Virgo.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Earth signs. Yes, we're both Earth signs. I'm a Taurus. You're a Virgo. In fact, one of our guests this month is going to be Kai Pacha, good friend of mine, Kai Pacha Lesher, who's an astrologer. So are you into astrology?
I'm so into astrology.
How did you get into astrology?
My mom used to listen to Worte. Have you ever heard of him?
Worte?
Yo, Worte. Have you heard of Worte? Yo, a lot of Spanish people know Worte. Worte is like this really cool, like blinged out astrologer that goes mucho amor. And he does this like thing at that hook at the end. But he always talks about astrology, and every Sunday everyone had to gather around the TV and listen to Worte. And Worte would always tell us like what we're going through. So I grew up with astrology. My mom's heavy in astrology, and my friends, like people in my community, they're always talking about what sign are you, or like you must be this or that. But I think we're all a little bit of everything.
Yeah, but there's that blueprint, the idea of like, you know, you come into this earth with a specific blueprint, and then our lives change and we grow and we learn. But I've found, for me, astrology has been right on. Like you and I have a natural like. We get along really well because I love Virgos.
Me too. I love fucking Tauruses. Yo, I swear, Tauruses are my people. You know, I've had mates that were like, you know, like spouses or whatever, partners that were Tauruses. I don't know why I keep saying that. I think it's like a Spanish thing. Like
so you've never been married? Have you been married?
I've been married like spiritually, not like legally. Yeah.
And you have 2 kids?
I do.
2 boys?
2 boys. 2 little grown men.
How old are they?
Isa's 6. And Xavier's 16.
I mean,
grown ass man.
I'm sure you hear this at all, but you don't look even old enough to have, you know, maybe like you don't look like you have any kids. When I met you, I was like, you have kids? Like, it surprised me.
That's good. That's a good thing. But I have my kids young, which I'm so thankful for as an adult now. But going through it as a kid, like I was 14 turning 15 when I had my first child, and I waited 10 years to have the second one because trauma, you know, talk about trauma.
14 years old, still in high school.
I graduated on time, though.
So you had a kid in high school.
Yeah.
Raised the kid through your 14, 15, 16, 17 while you were taking high school classes. How was that? That's like, was there a school program that helped with the kid? Maybe your mom helped out?
Honestly, my mom gave me a roof over my head. It was weird because I was
you were 14. You were still a kid.
Right. She was pissed at me, but
right.
She was just like, well, this is what you wanted to do, which by the way I didn't. I like asked her, I was like, can we have other routes, please? Like, you know, but then she
wasn't
like,
supportive of that.
No, she was like, absolutely not. And I was like, fuck. But honestly, I feel like my kids saved me from a lot of shit. I was not an easy kid, you know. I mean, I was not.
Well, if you were 14 and pregnant, then you were.
She never even hinted at it. I was really like one of those like discreet kids. I was not allowed to go outside. I was not allowed to go to the store by myself. I developed very quickly as a kid. Like I had boobs at like 10 years old, so my mom was constantly shielding me.
Trying
to. Failed. Right?
Yeah, she failed. Your mom failed.
She failed, but like. You know, I think my kid saved me from a lot of shit.
Right.
I didn't have a childhood. I was always trying to figure out how to keep this child alive, right? Make sure that he's fed and has clothes and all these things as a kid. And it's so funny, my best friend, who was the same age as me, same month, we were born in the same month, Virgo, helped me with my kid. Like she would help while I went to go work at Forever 21. She would like push my kid around the mall until like my shift was over. Like it was so dope.
Gosh.
But it was hilarious. She's still my best friend.
I think there's a Forever 21 here in Escazú. If you ever need to get a job, you can go back. I'm just kidding.
I'm like, I got my resume.
So when did you get into herbalism? Like, how did that, like, were you old? Was that something, you said your mom was kind of a witchy woman, like, so maybe that was kind of ingrained in you, but like, when did you decide, like, this is like a path that I want to pursue? Like, were you?
Honestly, it was a path because I started dealing with my body holistically. Like, I went into veganism. I honestly kind of disowned my mom a little bit. Like I went through my own journey. Like growing up in it, I didn't appreciate it versus like people that never grew up in it that are like so infatuated. I'm like, no, like that's, and that in my mind then I was like, that's not the way. And so I kind of detached myself for a while, and then I went into I had my first child. I gained a shitload of weight. And then I wanted to lose the weight. And my kid, Iesha, taught me about how to be more mindful with my body. A little baby, literally.
Your baby
my
taught
baby.
You this.
Yeah. And so he would not he was very defiant. I feel like when you're born, you're either going to conform to the lifestyle you were born in, or you're going to be one of those kids that like rebel and fight every single thing and question every single thing you do. And Issa was one of those kids that without even talking, he would defend his stomach, I guess. He wouldn't allow me to give him formula. He wouldn't allow me to give him chicken nuggets and fries. Like, he would seal his mouth up. He'll seal his mouth shut. And I'm like, what's wrong with you? Like, you're not a normal kid. Like, why are you making my life hard? And I would always get upset. But then, like, I went on this vegan challenge, and that taught me how we should all be more intuitive with our gut. And it made me realize my son actually was trying to teach me this is not supposed to go in our stomachs. I ate it once. It didn't feel good. So he taught me that. And I went vegan since he taught me those things.
And are you still vegan?
I'm like, right now I'm in the phase. I was vegan for like 5 years. I've started eating fish. I started experimenting with my body 4 months ago. So like I'm starting to slowly incorporating things that are good for like my blood type. I started reading about blood type diets and stuff.
Yeah, there's all different kinds of
so many
options. I've done a bunch of them too.
Yeah, so I'm exploring still.
And so through him you got into veganism, but what about herbalism? Like, how did that?
So I got sick. So I lost weight and I thought I was being healthy. And I was like 220 pounds after having my kid.
No way.
Yeah, I was a cute, fat little thing. So then,
I want photos.
I want photos. My license plate during COVID, I couldn't change I lost all this weight, and I couldn't change my license plate picture because of COVID. So I had to rehab that picture for another 5 years of my face like this freaking big. And they look at my license and they look at me and they're like, I don't think this is the same person. But no, I lost a lot of weight, and then I was going into this like health journey, and my kidneys, I had a kidney stone, so I had to get like surgically removed, and then I was in the hospital for like 5 days. And that taught me that, I couldn't figure out, at the time I didn't have a good relationship with my mom at the time, and no one could have my children, so I'm like, who's gonna take care of my kids while I'm in the hospital? So that was like an aha moment. And then I was like, well, I was doing all the right things, how the hell did I get fucking kidney stones? I'm eating freaking salads, and I guess I had too much oxalates or too much calcium in my body. So then I was like, all right, well, I gotta learn how to heal myself through herbs. And so I just started going down this rabbit hole of like food and being infatuated with food and how it can heal me. And then I was like, all right, well, I need to learn these herbs. And I stumbled across a course, and I started doing that course, and I started falling in love with like the herbal actions and like combining like plant medicine and making your own teas. And it was just like, I was obsessed with it. And then I started teaching my family, and I started healing. So as I started shrinking, people were like, I want to do what you're doing. How the fuck did you go from 220 pounds to 130 and like no surgery, no anything? Like, what are you doing? So as I started naturally teaching people about these combinations I've been doing. So.
And so you're a practicing herbalist. You have like a product line, and
yeah. So I have Optimom
clients
Wellness. Yeah, I take like consultations, so I'm certified to be able to take consultations and help people through that process. And I always tell people, like, you are the scientist. Like, don't take everything that I'm saying to heart. Let's explore and find out what works for you. Like, veganism may not work for you.
Right.
Pescatarian may not work. We got to figure out what works for you. And then at the same time, herbs are not going to always do what it says it's going to do. It may make you sleepy, and it makes me active. Like, I start to try to reprogram people's thoughts about food and the body as a whole, and try to get them to put that scientist coat on and be okay with trial and error.
Right. And so, okay, so one thing, I mean, obviously, so for those of you who aren't watching on the video, who are just listening in the podcast, Iesha is a beautiful, do you identify as a black woman? You're a brown skin woman.
Yeah, melanated.
Okay, so yeah, and like one thing that I love seeing like people of color in the herbalism field, because in my world, at least, maybe it's just my world, it seems like a very like white field. Like, it's most of the women I know that are doing it, not just white, but like multicultural. But like, I feel like when I think about like, it just feels like it's something that is so natural that everybody deserves to have access to. And I feel like maybe maybe it would be easier for like black folks to go to a woman that looks more like them, and like they feel like they can relate to a little more. Like,
Yeah.
so do you have like, are your clients kind of, do you have a specific clientele, or is it like just kind of whatever? Is it online or is it in person? Like, what is your...
So most of my clientele, most of my platform is on Instagram and stuff. I'm growing my Facebook and things like that. So I think like I'm like a open book to all people to come to me, but I do find that most people that look like me, they want to they're more curious to how I got into this. How has it helped me? Can I help them? It can be a little overwhelming sometimes because it's like they think you have like you're the gatekeeper of all the answers, and I'm just like I'm just trying to figure out myself here, you know. So, but no, I think that you're right. It is washed out, but I've learned through history it's always been in these cultures.
Right.
It's always been
Totally.
to the point where they don't, it kind of comes natural. It's like because they didn't have access to hospitals, doctors and nurses were a luxury, and it is a luxury in a lot of other countries. So they had to learn the land. They had
And
to.
still is.
It still is. And so their grandmothers always passed down home remedies, which is why I grew up where my mom would make like a tea when I was sick with onions and garlic and stuff. And but this is why I kind of went into herbalism, because she couldn't tell me why this worked together. She just knew her mom said it. So I think like it is our birthright to know nature and to be able to heal ourselves. And every household should have one person in there, because like COVID happened, everyone got hit in the face, where it's like if you had a common cold, you ain't going to the hospital.
Right.
It's not gonna happen. You got pushed away, unless you had like a broken leg or something like that. So people were like, what do we do? And so we turned back to nature. So I think like everyone needs to learn this stuff.
Oh, absolutely. And so you were at Envision this year. You met Sarah Wu through Envision.
No, I met her through Instagram and stuff. We kind of connected up virtually online. We had conversations. We've like talked to each other about herbalism and stuff, and she asked me to come to Envision, which I was super excited about.
So you've been here for about a month.
Yeah.
And had you got a chance to go check out Alegria, Ecovia, any of the other communities?
Yeah, I kind of just stumbled in there.
Kind of wandering around.
I know that they were looking at me like, who is this girl, this black woman just walking around this fucking place? And I think I am like the only person of color I think I've seen. I've seen one other person actually, but that doesn't bother me. They're just like, I'm like, hola. Every time I walk by, I'm like, they don't even know why I'm even in there. But I jog up and down and get some exercise.
You got a little bit of a Tika vibe too. You could be,
Right.
because the Dominicana, you know, like.
Oh, she's probably,
Yeah, you
blend in.
You look like you could be from Puerto Viejo or something.
See?
Yeah. Have you been to Puerto Viejo?
No, I've heard so much about it. I gotta go. I'm gonna come back next time.
It's a totally like other side of Costa Rica. It's like out here, it's very like Spanish influenced, and in our area also very international, obviously. But the whole other side is very like Caribbean, escaped slaves kind of settled there, and so it's very black culture, Rasta, like patois, it's pretty cool. It's beautiful. It's pretty cool vibes over there. And of course the ocean is really nice over there too. Okay, so you're here, and what are you doing next? What's happening?
So next I'm pretty much just kind of, what's happening next? I don't know. I'm kind of going with the flow. I'm learning the art of releasing, and like just kind of going with the flow and not being super controlling. Virgos can be very like particular about things. So I'm practicing the art of letting go and allowing things to flow.
You hear that, Virgos? You hear that, Virgos? Listen to her, Virgos.
The letting go process. It's harder than we think, but when you let it go, the Lord pulls you in the right direction. But no, I think what's happening next, I'm gonna go home, fulfill all these orders. I've allowed people to have a discount during the month of July because I can't ship orders out while I'm here. So as a thank you, I kind of discounted my entire website.
Wow.
To allow people to get sea moss and some teas and some Yoni steams. So, but it's just as a trade-off of being patient and allowing the shipping process.
So what is your website?
My website's optimumwellness.com.
Okay.
And there you can find, you can book like a consultation with me there. I'm developing it. I'm going to start putting my YouTube things up in there and stuff. But so far it's just basic, my products being sold. And then also like a doula. I'm also a doula. So you can book me as a doula as well.
Okay. To help with births.
Yes.
Oh, lovely. And so yeah, so you another side of, you mentioned that you're really into like women's health and womb health, so Yoni steams and whatnot. Will you, for people who have no idea what a Yoni steam is, will you kind of just give a brief explanation?
It's like an ancient practice where you are taking herbs. You have to first know what you need it for, and then you take herbs that kind of will help you with that issue. So if you're a heavy bleeder, you might take something that will help support the uterus and bleeding and stuff, the iron. So you just make a herb blend, and then you take a pot, you boil it, let that steep, and then you have this like beautiful steam that's filled with medicine. And you take a blanket or a sheet and you sit or squat over this beautiful pot. Try not to, I mean, you're not going to burn yourself, because if it's uncomfortable, you just get up and let it cool. But you just kind of squat over, and it's like a facial for your vagina.
So it's the vapors.
Opens the pores up, release any toxins and things that are in there. A lot of women experience relief in the ovaries and any cysts or anything that they may be experiencing. They find relief and comfort there. So
awesome.
It helps with like BV, yeast infections, just kind of, if you could think of a facial on your face where it opens the pores up and release all that gunk, it's the same idea for JJ. I
did see your I was looking at your Instagram, and I saw a meme that said something like, y'all's WAPs yeah, y'all's WAPs are so acidic, it could the pH is so off you could turn a cucumber into a pickle.
This is true. I mean, there's some. I mean, the most acidic part of the body is the vagina. I mean, there's a certain acidity level, but when you start to have things that are, if you start to eat things that are more acidic and tip it over, it can really burn some shit.
Well, and not just I mean, as a male who've had female partners in the past, like I know also like introducing a new partner can be a whole thing. Like the different bacterias that come the different bacterias that you're introducing. Also like, coconut oil massages and stuff. You got to be careful. Sometimes that can affect. Like they're so sensitive.
So sensitive. I mean, think about it. It's a wound that never closes. It's like an open wound. You can sit and squat. It's like anything can go up in there and out of it. So it's like, the vagina is very sensitive. So you have to treat it as such. And I love that you are aware of that, because a lot of my focus is to teach males. I have 2 boys. Like, I teach my sons all the time that periods aren't gross, and like the vagina does so many different things, and like, so I teach about womb health and all these things to my boys. And I think that's like the main focus, because there's a lot of women that can learn this stuff, but then when they're kind of teaching their partners, hey, this is normal, that discharge is actually normal, and they're like grossed out because they weren't taught. They weren't taught about the different things the vagina does.
That's the old paradigm. Like, that's the old paradigm of, like, male, like, patriarchy and stuff. It's like, I feel like the modern man needs to know, like, how to support his partner.
I mean,
and,
you
like,
want to be in it all the time, right?
I know.
Right? Like, it's like, you might as well.
The more sensitive you are to these things, the more she's going to want you to get in it.
Yeah, exactly. And then at the same time, too, like, there's certain men that they need to learn how to take care of themselves too, like how to take care of the shaft and all these things, and if you're not circumcised, like what do you do, how to clean it, because any of that stuff can cause an imbalance there. And if you're a little slut, you might be running around, clean yourself up, at least have some respect a little bit for the womb you're about to enter.
Most
and
definitely.
So things like that. So I just think that everyone needs to learn this stuff.
I'm 100% with you. Okay, well, I would love to continue talking about this. I love talking about sex and also, I can tell. And I just think it's such an important issue. So I love that you're very open about it and very, educating women, and thank you for educating men, because it's true. Like, men really do need to learn these things. We're like little babies in our, like, evolutionary development. It feels like we've we've got a lot to learn as a culture. Okay, well, Iesha Martinez, Optimom Wellness, optimomwellness.com. Where can they find you want to tag your Instagram?
Yeah, so I'm under Optimom_1_wellness. There's a lot of fake pages out there. I do not offer readings. I do not offer any of these things. If I do ask for money, it's because we've already had a conversation and we're doing a consultation. Other than that, I'm not in your DM asking you for payment for a reading. Please don't do that. But Optimom, and Optimom is spelled OPTIMOM_wellness.
Optimom. Like mama.
Yeah, like mama, yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you.
I'm Matthew Human. This is La Vida Verde podcast. You can follow us on Instagram. Our Instagram has changed. It is now Finca Vida Verde CR. And we're also on YouTube. Obviously, if you're watching this video, you're watching on YouTube. It's La Vida Verde Podcast on YouTube. We have a Patreon, which we would love to receive your support. If you want to support more of these kinds of conversations, it really would helps us out. And that's patreon.com/La Vida Verde Podcast. Thank you so much, Iesha. We'll be back next week with another episode, and we'll see you next time. Pura vida.